Yes, whenever they're ready to start.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning our speaker is Brandon Furrowh.
Step back a bit.
I'm sorry. From Hilltop Lutheran Neighborhood Center. And I just thought it would take a minute to tell you about the development of that center. The Hilltop Lutheran Neighborhood Center is a direct response to the building of the Wilmington Freeway, which took the Zion Lutheran Church, which was at 6th and 6th and Jackson, And it was very much church-oriented, volunteer, and we had many programs, but mostly it was volunteers. And I can tell you the story of when we got into our daycare. It was through the Model Cities program. And it was Pastor Zimmerman who went to the many, many, many meetings to get that started. And then later we had somebody from the Synod came, and he was sort of ran things there, but that was one of the few paid people. Everybody was from the neighborhood who worked there, really, except him. And then the Synod said, well, we don't have any more money, and so you should be, that we were first Zion, and you should move to be Lutheran, and then join the United Way, and go get foundation money, and so forth. Well, then we did that. That's when we did hire J Street as director. And then we started, it was really pretty sad little building. I think the parishioners of Zion did a lot of the building, and somebody had given them, one of the parishioners had given them the property. So it was a big move on. So then we started with we got into foundations and all that kind of stuff, and it grew. And then Gus Schindel was always the representative from this church. At that point, I didn't go to Zion anymore. I went to St. Philip's. And Jay and I went down when we thought was right. And Gus Schindel was in on this too, because he said, I feel bad that we don't do anything really like church related or anything like that. And he said, well, we'll know when the time is right for that. But in the meantime, these kids need our help. So that's what was the feeling. But then Jay and I went down, and we appealed to the Synod, and that's how Clarence Pettit came to Wilmington. And he was there for a while. And then they wanted to get their own church, so they moved first, well, to 4th Street. Anyway, so that's where we were, and we were very busy then with very many programs. And I don't know now, Clarence or Brandon will tell us what we're doing now and how it's going. But, poor Kitty, she is our representative to Hilltop now, a board representative, Kitty Dombrowski. Mm-hmm. She has a lot to do here, I'll tell you that. She has a lot on her plate. I don't know how she even manages it. But anyway, so this is Brandon Furrowh from Hilltop Lutheran Neighborhood Center.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Green, for that beautiful introduction and history on Hilltop. Truly appreciate your passion for connecting the church to the community. Good morning again. My name is Brandon Furrowh. I'm the Deputy Director here at Hilltop Lutheran Neighborhood Center. If it's okay, this is Sunday morning for me. I would like to just do a quick prayer, if that's okay. Thank you. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for being God and God alone. We thank you for waking us up this morning, for giving us strength, breath in our bodies, God. We thank you for the love that you give us unconditionally, for grace and mercy that met us this morning. Father, we ask today that you continue to strengthen our hearts and our minds so that we can continue to walk in the way that you have ordered us to. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So I want to start off with saying thank you for everyone who has donated in the past. Maya Angelou has a quote that says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I believe that you made our students feel so great with your donations, whether it was for the holiday season or just the month-to-month donation that you guys have provided. We are extremely grateful because it enables us to do things for the community, things that kind of get lost in translation and slip through the crack. You know, when families are in need, they communicate with us, and we're able to take that into the consideration. And so we thank you for enabling us to help people, and we really appreciate it. Right now, so you've heard the history. Right now, we have an early childhood assistance program, so that includes preschool. We take them from 6 weeks old all the way up until pre-K. And then for our youth services and after school program, we take them from kindergarten all the way up until about 7th grade. And then we also have our evening programs, our recreation program, which includes open gym, karate, cooking classes. We actually just had, I'm not sure if you guys follow us on social media, but our cooking instructor just opened up her own restaurant. And yet she's still finding a way to come back and do the cooking classes. So it's great. They love her and they learn a lot. We have beauty camp and fitness. We have science, technology, and engineering and math clubs. Art, lyrical math. We were actually on the front page of the newspaper for employing the lyrical math program at our site. And then we also employed literacy programs to improve the reading skills of our youth and also try to close the gap that was of the learning loss that took place during the pandemic. So again, we thank you for all your contributions that helped us to employ these programs. Again, our population served, that is, we take them 6 weeks all the way up until about 18 years of age through the different programs. And so the last portion that I want to talk to you about, and I hope I don't disappoint anyone by moving too quickly or have the brevity of this speech today, but I have taken some time, thanks to Mrs. Grief, to think about the future of Hilltop. What does that look like? What do we do well that we want to keep doing, and what are some things that we aren't doing yet that we want to employ? So in the next year, there are two main things that I would like to focus on, which is redesigning some of the teen safe spaces. During the pandemic, what we did was we provided a space for virtual learning, which took away our teen space. What I would like to do at this time is open back up a teen space, but with a focus of allowing our teens to be positive content creators. Now, some of your kids or your grandkids, you may notice that they are big on TikTok and social media. And if you're not careful, what you post today could follow you 20 years from now. We want to encourage our youth to put positive content out, not only so that they can demonstrate that there is positivity to their peers, but also so that they can be increasingly employable throughout the years. Another thing that we want to do is continue to engage our parents with life skill sessions. That means bringing in volunteers, bringing in people who have specialties in areas of finance and health to encourage our parents to live better. So that's what we see for the future of Hilltop within the next year. With 1 to 5 years, we, of course, like any other center, want to do beautification. We want to paint our walls. I think it's been a little while since that's happened. And so we want to make sure that our exterior matches our intent. That we want to make sure that the things that the students see around the building match how we want them to feel on the inside. Also, we want to engage the youth and their families in experiential learning activities, doing some traveling, going to different shows, Broadway shows. Why not? One of my favorite quotes is, "Travel is the enemy of ignorance." And so we want to broaden their horizon and give them more experiences that allow them to look at culture and life differently. And last but not least, for 5 to 10 years, we want to expand our building to build a top-tier gymnasium and fitness center. And of course, that is millions of dollars and a ways off. But our goal is that we don't lose our teen population just because they don't have enough space to play basketball the way that they would like to, or play different sports the way that they would like to, or have their parents come in and engage safely in a space designed just for them. So this would help us to expand not just what we do, but how we do it. That's my presentation for today. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I'm available for any questions.
I was wondering, well, through the years, we had opportunities to buy the houses up to the corner. And then the goal was to build, but really, to tell you the truth, I mean, it was an architect and all like that, but I worried about it because Hilltop does not have a full gym. It's only a half gym. And really, that was the big thing that we realized was wrong. But if you do that going up the corner, you take away the beauty of that area, which is kind of pretty houses there, and they all have to come down and all. But still, I was just wondering, how is that going? What are you thinking? How is this goal? Of course, one thing is to get the gym, but is that active?
So it is in the planning stages. It is in the planning stages. Of course, we will seek out funding to support this. Right. And with the planning, we definitely intend to build upwards in an attempt to not displace anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was one thing that I wondered about. And also I wondered, even though this is very difficult times with COVID and all, there's always talk now about making changes in public policy. And the last time I was down there was a young lady who represents the area now, who seemed, and she seemed pretty good. Mm. But I wondered, like, is there some plan or some way to sort of like encourage adults to have meetings there and things like that? Or at least encourage them to go to other places for the meeting, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that would, so that's something that we've been very cautious about. And so the meetings that have taken place facilitated by our family service workers have been done virtually at this time until we can find a safe way to do it. As you guys know, the spread of this virus has not been contained well at all. And so we have to really think about our children first. And I believe my executive director, Michelle Williams, has been quite genius and quite brilliant when it comes to the way that she handles others coming into the building. And so we're very cautious. We want to make sure that we are protecting our kids first. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any Lutheran volunteer corps people this year? Sometimes we have heard about that and we haven't heard anything lately.
So we did apply this recent year to receive an LVC. Unfortunately, we did not receive one. We had one that we were really interested in. She seemed great. She chose not to come to our center. We want to make sure that with our population, that there's someone who understands that who we're serving, we're not a monolith, and that the best way to serve them is to build relationships. And so that's one of the top things that we were looking for, is to find someone who's really good at relationship building.
You talked about the different groups, different age groups that you serve.
Yes.
And would you say then that your numbers are growing in all, or some, or most, or a particular group, or are they not are they staying fairly consistent with what they've been in the past? Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
Absolutely. So I would say with our early childhood education program and our after-school services, before and after care, our numbers are pretty consistent. We consistently are on a waiting list, or we consistently have a waiting list for these programs specifically. One of the things that I love about Hilltop is when parents matriculate out of the program, when they attended when they were younger, and they're saying, I want my kids to have the Hilltop experience. And so that keeps that revolving door coming where people are constantly gravitating back to Hilltop, and I absolutely love that. Unfortunately, our teen population is one that we are continuing to struggle to engage at this point because we are being so cautious with COVID, and because now we've had to redesign the space to make sure that we are matching the needs of the younger kids who needed help with virtual learning. And so when we re-engage the teens, one, they're very much attracted to a larger gym. Whether it's just playing basketball or coming to watch other people play basketball, that's the biggest draw. And then with my proposal for the Future Content Creators program, that's something that is going to be specific to draw them in because that's what they're interested in. And so the goal is to meet them where they are. Yes, ma'am?
I like it that you're getting the kids engaged with so many different activities. I taught at Bancroft for a long time. Bancroft is an at-risk school, lots of poverty. One of the things I noticed about the kids was that they weren't curious. They're not engaged. They don't know about these opportunities beyond their neighborhood. So a program like this, you're making sure that they do get out beyond the neighborhood and engaging.
Absolutely.
And that teen population can be really difficult. I was an elementary teacher, so I didn't deal with it, but I know we lost a lot of kids between middle and high school that just stopped doing the positive things and got distracted by other things.
Absolutely.
Norman Oliver said one class that he followed as ninth graders, none of them graduated from their assigned high school, so they might have transferred somewhere else to a Protec or something. But they need somebody to keep them on the path. This, program for teens would help a lot that way, I think.
Thank you. With all transparency, the teen population is my favorite population to work with. Before I became the deputy here at Hilltop, I was teaching Johnson Delaware graduates at HB DuPont Middle School, and so I have done multiple programs throughout the 20 years that I've been working in nonprofit that really are all about engaging in teens with prevention services. And so I'm really excited about this upcoming this project.
Yeah, there's just a lot of choices that teens can make, and so you have to make sure that someone is there to guide them.
Absolutely, and we won't be able, realistically speaking, we won't be able to eliminate all the risk factors that exist in any child's life. But what we can do is increase the protective factors, increasing their relationships to positive mentors, increasing their activities to offset the opportunity to do some of the things that are negative. I believe, Miss, you had a question? No?
No.
Okay.
I was curious when you said the word that you helped them with virtual or learning. I'm terrible at using these words.
No, you're fine.
Not face to face with a teacher. The little kids. How did you do that? How did that work?
So our youth service coordinator, Mr. Russa Allen, coordinated a series of documents to make sure that the kids had their classes documented. They had their, which of course is Zoom. They had their Chromebooks documented, their chargers documented. The parents knew the expectation. What I had to explain to a grandparent who was concerned about their grandchild who had who needed some additional services, is that it is unfair to expect the community to have the same level of resources as an entire school. What these kids receive in school is far more than just education. There are special support services. There are interactions with various levels of authority figures that teach them great relationship building. There are mental health services. These are things that the community has not provided yet, and it's not in the scope of practice for them to do it. It's for the school, and I can tell you, with working with so many people in the school and attending some of the IEP meetings and working with the special support staff, we can't compare, and it's not our job to. And so we've done our best for our students, and we provided the parents an opportunity to still work while their kids are still receiving an education, which not everyone was afforded. But it's not something that we believe that we would like to do in the future. Yes, ma'am.
Where is most of your funding coming from now?
So that's a great question. I believe that we are receiving federal and state funding, along with some donors as well.
But you don't have, okay. You go to all the foundations, mostly that's building projects. But you go still watching, trying to find little groups to fill in. Because we used to do a lot of that, a lot of different grants.
Yes. So we still are constantly on the search for more grants to expand programming, to expand building resources as well. And that's something that we speak about on a monthly basis in our administration meetings.
And the other thing I wanted to ask was about what percentage of the kids that you serve have poverty levels so that they are in the purchase of care program, like with the little kids, the daycare, for instance, have the state paid some of their way?
Yes. So I could say that at around 95% of our attendees are receiving purchase of care.
Yeah. So this is really a poor population. This is a lot poorer than the one across the street. You know, I mean, that's just to know the difference. That's all. Yeah, because God sent us here.
Is the funding stable, or do you have to reapply, in a given period of time?
So I believe most of the funding is pretty stable, but we always are on the lookout for more. There are a lot of hidden costs that Hilltop has to put out, regarding healthcare, things that So I believe that my executive director will be able to attest more to the budgets and the funding than I can. I've been more overseeing the day-to-day operations.
What's the size of the population that you serve? How many?
So that's a great question. We have definitely downsized a little bit on purpose during the pandemic, but at this time, we are serving about 102 students just between the two programs that are run on a daily basis. That does not include the evening programs.
And they're in the building every
day. Every day. We have some kids, they don't miss a day.
And do you still then have, if the ones that are in school, and you're providing before and after care, but it's like Christmas vacation, they're there all the time?
Yes.
What about the summer? What are you doing?
Summer camp. Yeah. Yep. So we provide full day care for those who are not in school during when they are scheduled for out of school time. And so one of the things that we've had to express recently to some of the parents is that there's a difference between out of school learning time and out of school time, where the students are scheduled off for holiday breaks or parent-teacher conferences. We provide full day care for those days. However, if a school decides that they are just going to shut down so that the kids can do virtual learning for this year, that's something that the parents will now have the responsibility to take care of.
That's tough.
So in other words, you say that the state isn't paying for that, or what's?
So at this time, there's not a stable list of who is being paid for a full day and who isn't. However, we want to make sure that we're setting a precedent where we're able to sustain within our site. And so right now, we have staff shortages just like everywhere else. So we commit to taking care of virtual learning again this year. If all the schools decide to shut down, we are now overcommitting ourselves. We don't have the capacity to do that at this time.
So this is really, I knew that, but I mean, it's problematic all over.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Now, St. Mark's members are involved usually, I think, with, well, when you had fundraisers, we were involved. But also, we have a rotating thing where we have an organization of the month that people contribute to. And I don't remember off the top of my head which month Hilltop is. Does anybody remember?
I think it was November.
November. But in addition to the money and I think some Thanksgiving baskets sometimes and Christmas gifts, are there other things that we should be considering in terms of support for Hilltop that come to your mind?
So that's a great question. I will say that if you have a specialty in something that you've heard me express today, we're more than welcome your expertise. We're more than welcome your efforts and into the community.
But if you have a program that you want to do, but you need such and such,
Mm-hmm.
would you kind of keep a list and maybe follow up if you need something? Or?
So knowing the interest, I could definitely do that moving forward.
We're looking for ways to support you other than money, with things or, some of us can do time, most of us can't, but, we've heard, of specific things from other groups, and that's what we're kind of looking for, other ways. I'm thinking school supplies or,
That's fine. Yeah. So I will just do a quick recap. So some of the things that you can bring to the table that doesn't really have to be about money. We definitely over the next year, I would like to do some beautification of our center, some painting. So if some people are skilled with painting, we may have a day where we'll do that, and we would love to have volunteers in for that. After doing an assessment of the community, we may decide that it's good to do a food closet or another clothes closet. I can tell you, we never have enough clothes. We thank you for your donations, but we could always use more clothes especially for our younger kids. Those students who may have accidents throughout the day, and we're looking to make sure that there are enough sizes to fit these kids. So clothes, food, efforts with volunteering and painting, we welcome it all.
and specifically, like under a year and under, or 2 years and under,
I would say 4 years and under.
4 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any program that like research that's designed for follow-up statistics and so forth? Like, for example, the kids that go through the Hilltop experience, are they more likely to graduate from high school than kids that don't go in the neighborhood and don't go? Do you have any data of that kind?
So that's a great question. I would say I would have to follow up with Ms. Michelle on that one. because they work closely with the University of Delaware. And so I believe that data would be collected through them.
Do you have an impression of the impact that the program has in the unfolding lives of your students?
What I will say is I've noticed that there is just, again, that revolving door where the parents are now bringing their kids back, once they have matriculated through the program. And so, these are working parents. Some of them work as teachers, some of them work, as, they're doing warehouse work, but we've seen a lot of positive feedback coming from people who have matriculated through the program.
Does the school know, like, the kids that are in your after-school program, the school that child goes to, are they aware the child goes to Hilltop after school? And if there's a problem, would they maybe call you or something?
So I believe there's certain limitations that the school has on whether or not they can contact us. However, one thing that the pandemic has forced us to do is to build stronger relationships with the schools. And so we are aware, the schools are aware of who is attending our program and what changes are taking place.
Okay.
If there was one thing that you would want us to take away from our being with you today, what would that be?
I love these questions. I think the main thing that I would love for you to take away from this presentation today is that there is such a great intent for Hilltop to deliver services to the community that are authentic and centered in their responses to what they need. And so I believe that there is going to be enough assessments and capacity building to ensure that what we're providing to the service is actually centered around the people and not our ideas of the people. Yes, ma'am.
One quick question. Some of the places we talk to do this more than others. Are you allowed to speak about God or your faith or anything while you're there?
Am I allowed to?
Or volunteers or?
So that's something that's not prohibited at all, and I believe Mrs. Grief spoke earlier about wanting to make sure that we incorporate that element more into the center. I believe that there may be a few stipulations with some with the federal funding or state funding, but that doesn't mean that we can't build programs around the people that incorporate that. And again, that goes back to what I recently spoke of, which is finding the needs for the people and meeting them there.
Thank you.
No problem.
How large is your staff? And when you talk about the different programs and so forth, who is the staff and what are their background that are running the programs?
Great question. So we have, for our early childhood education, we have about 6 classrooms and about 12 teachers and 1 program coordinator for that, or early childhood education coordinator for that. And then for our after-school program, we have about 6 staff and 1 education coordinator, and then a youth service coordinator. And so in total in the building right now, we have about 30 staff members, which is actually shorter now than it was a year ago, where we had probably about 40 staff members. But we are pushing forward every single day to make things work, to fill in the gaps until we are fully staffed. So at this time, no, we are not fully staffed. We are still actively seeking out applications and resumes to become fully staffed, but at the same time, Hilltop, if you've ever been in the building, if you've ever been around the staff, you'll know that this staff will do whatever it takes to make it work.
When you say 30, are they paid?
Yes, yes.
This, when you say working with the University of Delaware, is it their only child that's still in that program?
Yes.
So then, this is one thing that I know was they were beginning that, and then all the daycare workers had to be certified with this program at Del Tech. I think it was 2 years and so forth, and so they all have that certification. And then a friend of mine told me recently that the state is picking up on that very well, that even without this University of Delaware program, they're trying to see that everybody has this appropriate education to staff this program.
That is correct. The name of the program escapes me at this time. However, I can follow up with an email.
Are you from AI, DuPont? I'm looking at your shirt, your mask, and I saw at the end of the corner, it looks like it says AI.
No, this mask doesn't say this. It's just a design. It doesn't say anything. However, at this time, it's a great segue into what we're doing to keep the teen population engaged. I've actually, because of my background in the schools and prevention services, I take an hour of my day, Tuesday through Thursday, to go into the schools to meet with a group of students, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and talk to them about, I'm actually employed in an evidence-based program called All Stars. And so that's something that we are incorporating just to keep the youth engaged and let them know that Hilltop is a safe space for them.
Yes, thank you, yeah.
Again, thank you all for having me. I appreciate everything that you do for Hilltop.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for that.